Our last storyteller of the evening is Lyn Ford. Lyn is a fourth generation Appalachian storyteller. She's an author and an Ohio teaching artist whose work has taken her across the United States and beyond its borders to Australia and to Ireland. Lyn is also a certified laughter yoga teacher. Tonight, oh, and a great grandma, excuse me, can't forget that one. Tonight she's telling us why Mama's teaching still holds true with her story, A Humbling Experience. I now give you Lyn Ford.
Thank you. My family was probably about as strange as Gil's, and I was part of the strangeness when I was a little girl with all the innocence and immaturity and ignorance and big-headed ego of a child. Somebody would tell me not to do something, and I would do it because I could. I ran down the rocky side of the hill barefooted because I could. And when I cut my foot and started screaming, folks came from everywhere to help me out and to give me some advice. Things like hard head makes a soft behind. Not head, I think you just tripped over your ego, didn't you? Keep thinking you can get away with doing anything you want, and God's going to give you a humbling moment. And you'd think I would have learned then, but no. I tried jumping from the top step of the front porch, landing on the cracked sidewalk beneath it. Twisted my ankle, bloodied my knees, and folks came to help again, but they reminded me of my big-headed ego and that I was being somebody called knothead. And if I kept on doing things thinking I could get away with them, God was going to give me a humbling moment. Well, I got older, as you can see, and I grew wiser. At least I thought I did. But when my career was growing as a storyteller, I would take every job that was offered to me. And things kept growing and growing, and I was getting so excited about it. I was invited for the first time to tell at a festival in Texas, and I was going to be one of the featured tellers with some national names. And I was so excited, even though I probably should not have even considered going. I'd had some health situations and I'd been in and out of the hospital, had a touch of surgery, had painkillers I was supposed to take. I also had a bout with my arthritis that put me in a back brace. And there were more pills that I was supposed to take. And there was the doctor's advice that I should rest. But no. I had that festival in Texas. And I wasn't going to just give it away to somebody else. I was going. My star was rising. I could see myself on that stage already. When I woke up in the morning to get to the airport, because these were the times when storytellers could fly by plane, I was so sore that I could hardly get off the bed. And I could hear those voices in the back of my head calling me knothead, talking about a big ego. I could hear the wisdom of my husband as he tried to explain to me, you already told them about your health issues and they told you not to worry if you couldn't make it. They would have somebody on standby. Standby? I don't think so. I was going to Texas. When we got to the airport, I was so sore I could hardly walk. I'd put everything that I could into the bag that I would check in, except for the necessities to get through security and my boarding pass. I was carrying my back brace because that had to go through security too. I couldn't just wear it as I went through security. And by the time I got on the other side of security, I was so sore, all I could think was put on the back brace. And I found the women's restroom and I put on that brace and I took a couple of those painkillers, knowing full well that there were side effects. They could make you dizzy, they could make you drowsy, they could give you a touch of nausea. They also cause flatulence. I went to my gate and I fell asleep waiting for the flight. And then I got up just in time to get in line. And by the time I got on the plane, I was sore again. Took a couple more painkillers, fell asleep. And when I got off the plane, I had to get to the next gate. I had deliberately set a 2 hour layover for myself so that I could walk, not run, to the next gate, and also find a woman's bathroom because I was not going on a plane, okay? Well, I got to the women's restroom that was nearest, and it was pristine. It was peaceful. It was silent. It was empty. I was amazed. And I went to the largest stall where I knew there would be something to hold on to and prepared to do what I needed to do. My pants were down around my ankles when I started to get a bit dizzy, and I missed the seat. Instead of sitting there, I sat down hard on the floor with a kind of a slapping sound. Sounded like somebody had slapped a big chunk of meat against the tiles. And then there was another sound. From the side effects, my body made another sound that was kind of like the cry of a dying goose blended with a diesel truck horn. And I did what anybody would do under these circumstances. I laughed. I laughed loudly. I laughed wildly. And that's when I realized I was not alone. From the stall next to mine, a woman's voice said, "Oh my God." Well, I just sat there on the floor. I didn't move. I figured I'd wait until she was gone. And when I heard the flush and the washing of the hands and the sound of her footfall echoing in that almost empty bathroom, I waited a little bit, and then I managed to get up off the floor, kind of like a beached whale with my pants around my ankles. I sat in the appropriate place and did what I needed to do. I flushed, I washed my hands, I went out into the airport, and I wasn't worried. The woman hadn't seen my face. She'd never know who made those sounds. I'd walk through the airport, and even if we walked past one another, she wouldn't know who I was. Got to my gate, got to Texas. And from that point on, everything went so beautifully that I could feel my heart and my head swelling big as a balloon. Even though I was kind of the new voice to everyone, I had applause and lots of laughter, and people greeted me and welcomed me and shook my hand. They bought books from me and asked for my signature, and I could feel my heart and my head swelling like a big old balloon. And maybe somebody should have put a pin in my head, because I got to the last concert on the last evening, and I was the last teller. And I knew my star was just rising, so I chose a story that had always gotten big laughs. And the main character in that story has to laugh too. And I did, loudly, wildly. And the audience guffawed. They were hysterical. They were laughing, except for somebody in the first two rows who said, "Oh my God." Well, I got a standing ovation, but that's the quickest that I ever got off a stage. I practically ran to the back of the room, and I greeted people as we should, and I shook hands and talked as we should, and I sold books, and I was signing things, and someone handed me a book for me to put my signature in it. And as I wrote, the woman said, "I do believe that you and I have met before." And I said, because that's all that I could say. I had tripped over my own ego. I had been a knothead because I shouldn't have been there. I was sore the whole time. And I also figured out something else. If I figure I can do everything, God's going to give me a humbling moment. And that was it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Lyn. I always enjoy your stories. We hope that you will join us again for the West Virginia Storytelling Guild's second Monday storytelling concert. Our next concert will be Monday, August 10th. Before we close, I'd like to thank all of our tellers who did such wonderful, wonderful jobs. Karen Varanch, Gail Herman, Gil Myers, and Lyn Ford. And my tech person tonight, Adam Booth. Before we totally end the program, I'd like to take a moment, and if you'd help us out, would you please put in the chat to let us know where you heard about our concert series. So we won't close immediately. We'll give folks a chance to make those notes in the chat. So if you're interested in, oh, hey Adam, can you throw up the there we go. So I had promised you for Gail's information, if you wanted to contact any of our storytellers, here is the contact information. If you want to become a member of our organization, then you can see our website there, www.wvstorytellers.com. And you can go there for more information on how to contact our storytellers for upcoming storyteller events and lots of other good information. And if you're interested in having any of these storytellers at a virtual event or otherwise in your community, please contact them at the addresses there. So with that, I'm going to close our concert for tonight. So thank you all for coming, and give a round of applause or give your applause through the chat. And that's all from me tonight. Thank you all for coming, and thank you all for listening.